Bounty hunting in sci-fi universes is a dream. We've seen it across a multitude of games, movies, shows, and short stories. Tracking your target from planet to planet, diving into the dark streets of a dystopian metropolis, using your wits to get ahead of your enemy. It's a huge rush that in most games has boiled down to go here, shoot this person, get paid. Star Citizen long ago proposed a drastic change to this formula that relies on security networks, specialized chips for the profession, a rap sheet of criminal wrongdoings, and mechanics to capture your prey and take them back warm for higher payment. And your prey could be NPCs or human players. But a lot in Star Citizen's design plans has changed over the years, and the update has been delayed again and again. Today on my latest exclusive made for Patreon, YouTube, and Twitch supporters in July, we'll be looking at the proposed model of bounty hunting in Star Citizen, why it's so basic right now, and where we will likely land. If you'd like to see more videos like this when they're published, our supporters always have access to 6 exclusive videos as a thanks for making this possible. Members can see that on the front page of the YouTube channel. And if you already have, thank you for supporting my Tomato Talks. Right now in Star Citizen, you have 2 choices for bounty hunting. First, you can take on increasingly difficult NPC-driven contracts from your mobiGlas that send you to a location in space, in atmosphere, or at a ground location in Stanton to eliminate your target. Alternatively, you can go after players that have bounties attached to them due to committing crimes within the range of a comm array station, so mainly in Stanton. In both of these instances, your process is basically accept your contract, fly to the marker on your screen, kill your target, and get paid. It's a very basic loop. No real stealth, no non-lethal takedown options like the stun gun we've seen in development, no tracking app on your mobiGlas or way to see where your target has been or is besides that marker, and very little sense of determining where targets are more likely to pop up. Even in Freelancer, the game which many of the systems of Star Citizen are based on, you'd be allowed to naturally come across NPCs which can be scanned and identified as bounties that you can then subdue. You could get new jobs from bartenders at various locations. You could even run bounties for unlawful groups, as they may put a price on the heads of those they don't like. Something we're still waiting to see in the Pyro system. The current basic bounty hunting system doesn't take much advantage of reputation or localities, and doesn't quite offer the danger that is meant to deter players from doing mean things like stealing cargo, pad ramming, and murdering players indiscriminately. This leaves the game feeling more dangerous than it should, but it also almost disincentivizes the would-be bounty hunters from putting in the work. They're not really getting a great experience out of it, and the criminals are just going to come right back to what they were doing. It's currently a very basic game loop that does tie into reputation a bit, but ultimately is just a list on your mobiGlas that you select to go get into some combat fights and get quickly paid. It's definitely not what was pitched. In 2021, Tony Zurovic, the previous PU game director in Austin, Texas, presented a future powered by virtual AI. The idea behind these virtual AI was they would persist throughout the game as data points, simulating actions in the background, such as visiting locations, using station services, pinging off of security comms relays, committing crimes, and encountering one another based on probability volumes within the game. These probability volumes are actually already used to spawn in the basically nameless NPCs you can find when you go around to more dangerous places like in Pyro, and they eventually are meant to simulate encounters with pirates, security, and cargo haulers alike. The differences between these AI we see now and the virtual AI that were pitched was a persistent record of everything they did based on the background simulation. Essentially, independent of players, these AI data points would get into trouble, attack one another, visit space stations and planets, use those same services we do, and live a simplified life in the background. Combined with the ability to load locations in and out via server meshing and container streaming, this would put a light load on the game itself, relegating the heavy lifting to the back end. Really just a series of numbers without rendering overhead. Once a player did come into the area, however, the game would transition this virtual AI into a subsumption AI with a ship, a body, and a true rendered presence in the game. This would obviously then allow players to engage the AI, subdue it, and if necessary, use restraints to bring the body back to jail, either on a space station or down in a city center. With work going into jails and holding cells in city centers, it became clear this was another reason for players to start returning to cities more. However, we've only ever seen progress on the Hurston holding cells, and that was more than 2 years ago. We'll talk about this pause in development soon enough. This was concepted alongside a new tracking app for your mobiGlass that would allow players to see their own rap sheet as well as those of their targets. This app tied into the NPC tracker service, which was a tool that would track and organize the various services being used, such as fuel, repair, ATC, security services, and comm arrays. Rather than using a mission marker to fly straight to your target, you would need to track the bounty through these systems to find them, adding a more organic and immersive sense to the profession and a lot more time on the job. This all depended on the quantum economic simulation. Quantum, which has never officially launched in-game but we've covered multiple times on the channel, would handle the background representative simulation of the game. For every one player, there are meant to be 9 data points representing non-player citizens in the game, known as quanta. Many people mistake that for the name of the simulation, but it doesn't really matter anymore. Each of these AI would have their own tendencies and levels of risk aversion that would define how they would act. This would lead to certain areas and systems having AI more attuned to certain actions like crime or mining for immense profit. The system was meant to go deep, and I'll leave more other coverage of it linked down below. But in the years since then, the system has been renamed to StarSim. Tony Z has effectively retired from the studio, and there has been no talk about virtual AI or that 9-to-1 ratio since. Just assurance after assurance that the work being done now with things like mission generation and economy and cargo missions will tie into StarSim, that it is still in development, and that we will hear more when they are ready.
We'll be able to plug into the implementation of StarSim when it's ready, so we're not wasting work. And when we are ready to talk more about that, we absolutely will.
Well, what about quantum and stuff like that? These are representations of the same type of information that is in there. That's still being worked on. Quantum is still in development. We're hoping that you're going to hear some more of that too. We're looking to hopefully do something a little more dedicated to the ongoing development of quantum. Will not be however it is, however many weeks or months after that. That is the virtue of quantum, which is, again, still the system in development, still where all this goes eventually. We talked a bit about EVR and how they plug into the upcoming quantum system or StarSim or whatever the heck we're calling it now and stuff like this. I'm going to say before the end of this year is a reasonable expectation. I don't want to do anything more than that. I mean, you know us and schedules, so.
All of this was described as the next generation of bounty hunting, taking you on long-term journeys across multiple planets and star systems, introducing you to different biomes, factions, and situations that push the most versatile and controlled hunters to the top, and hopefully giving you some perks for doing so through the reputation progression. But bounty hunting is not part of Squadron 42, and as with most things since mid-2023, if you aren't related to Squadron 42, you're probably going to lose some funding and dev time. So this has clearly been put on the back burner until server meshing, StarSim, and the supporting systems were more in place, and the devs can focus more on Star Citizen than Squadron 42. As can be seen on the progress tracker, the NPC tracker and the bounty hunting system did get quite a bit of work throughout the years, but have been on pause since the end of 2023. And with an update from Benoit, who leads the Montreal studio, we can see that they did want to focus on making sure server meshing was in and reliable before they worked on this again. While we still aren't there yet, I do have a feeling we could hear more about this by the end of 2025 given the progress that's been made. I will say this though, with the way they've been messaging on this, I do think that we're going to end up seeing something downscaled from what Quantum was originally pitched as. So, what can we tell is still in the plans from the last year of talks? Well, we've obviously heard that StarSim is the new name for the quantum simulation, but we don't know what details were carried over as of this video's writing in July 2025. We could get a true walkthrough at CitizenCon Direct in October though. As far as actually bounty hunting goes, the best clues we've received are from CitizenCon 2024, in which this panel of the Bounty Hunters Guild shows us the option to investigate, capture, or kill a VIP in the name of the law. We also see a few similar missions on the Council Guild Guide, which is the unlawful counterpart to the mercenaries, and will have you taking on more criminal-oriented contracts. These slides didn't give much information outside of that though, and we still don't know how emergent situations will play out in which you can scan characters and discover that they have a bounty or price on their head, a la Freelancer. Combined with the restraints mechanics that we saw in CitizenCon 2023, the cargo pod upgrades that have been worked on for the Anvil Hawk, a prominent bounty hunting ship, and the transportation of bounty pods to space stations and cities in development, we can definitely infer a possible future loop of non-lethal capture, intel-based hunts, and the requirement to return criminals back to a central location will still exist. And I believe this system will likely rely on player characters having the choice of respawning at the nearest jail to have their captured body replaced by a placeholder, because nobody really wants to spend their next 30 minutes sitting inside somebody's ship butt. Still, there is no timeline, no roadmap listing, and no clarity on how or if virtual AI, tracking systems, or NPC persistence will return. So we don't exactly know what will happen with bounty hunting just yet, but this is the story of how we've gotten to where we are. Star Citizen once aimed to deliver the most immersive bounty hunting experience in gaming. Inspired by Freelancer, it promised faction-based reputation, criminal memories similar to something you'd see in Shadow of Mordor, player choice, and layered gameplay. Today we're left with the most basic foundation of that system, but hope isn't lost. We've seen restraint systems, law offices, VIP contracts, and stealth mechanics all demonstrated throughout the last couple years. The systems do exist or are being worked on, the vision is there, but like all things Star Citizen, the resources are not. As Squadron 42 still takes most of the focus, it's anybody's guess when we're going to see this game loop take a step up. Just like with refueling, refining, deep exploration, medical gameplay, farming, passenger transport, base building, and science research, we're going to have to wait and see just what CIG can do when they put in more effort. If you enjoyed this video, consider sharing it with others in the verse, give it a like, or consider subscribing to the channel for more. If you'd like to see these right when they are published ahead of the public release, consider supporting the channel and also get access to our early podcasts or even come join the live show, along with other benefits for making this possible. Thank you again for watching. I hope you learned something new in this video, and I'll catch you in the next.